Ohio government actions on July 24, 2026 included major executive branch announcements, legislation signed by Gov. Mike DeWine, administrative and enforcement developments, and several public-facing state actions. The most substantial items in the available results were DeWine's signing of multiple bills into law, the Ohio Department of Transportation's announcement of 33 roadway projects, the Ohio Department of Development's Housing Access Initiative, the Ohio Department of Education-related reading coach expansion, and the Ohio EPA's retreat from a proposed data center wastewater permit after heavy public comment 1510. Governor and legislative actions. Gov. Mike DeWine signed a package of bills on July 24, 2026, according to the Governor's Office 7. The bills included Senate Bill 28, which enters Ohio into the Physician Assistant Licensure Compact, revises rules for medication aid certification and practice, and removes residency conditions tied to limited veterinary medicine licenses. 7. Senate Bill 29, which addresses educational records and student data privacy. 7. Senate Bill 40, which enters Ohio into the Dentist and Dental Hygienist Compact and addresses insurance-imposed limitations on dental care services. 7. Senate Bill 214, which allows victims of human trafficking to expunge certain criminal records. 7. Senate Bill 225, which designates September 22 as Veterans Suicide Awareness and Prevention Day. 7. House Bill 202, which designates a portion of U.S. Route 62 in Canton as the Specialist Dennis Allen Combs Memorial Highway. 7. House Bill 214, known as the Religious Expression Days, or RED Act, which requires public schools to adopt policies reasonably accommodating students' sincerely held religious beliefs and practices, and to adopt policies concerning staff members' professional duties. 7. House Bill 466, which requires a written agency agreement for a licensed broker representing a buyer or seller in a real estate transaction. 7. A separate reporting summary said DeWine signed HB 214 on Wednesday, July 24, and that it takes effect in 90 days, matching the governor's office announcement that the bill was enacted that day too. The bill's school-related provisions are the most operationally significant among the measures listed in the available results. 7. Executive and administrative actions. The Ohio Department of Transportation, together with Gov. DeWine, announced 33 new roadway projects intended to improve transportation infrastructure across 23 counties. 1. The result does not list all counties or the project details, but it clearly identifies the scale of the program as a statewide road safety and infrastructure action. 1. The Ohio Department of Development announced an effort to improve housing access and make homeownership easier for Ohio residents. 1. The available result does not provide the program name or specific funding mechanism, but it identifies housing affordability and access as the policy focus. 1. Ohio hired 50 new reading coaches to help teachers implement science of reading instruction in schools with the lowest English language arts proficiency rates, bringing the statewide total to 148 coaches. 3. This is a state education intervention aimed at literacy improvement and targeted support for underperforming schools. 3. The Ohio Attorney General's office issued consumer warning messaging about romance scams, noting that Ohioans continue to lose millions annually to those scams. 3. This is an enforcement-adjacent public protection action rather than a criminal case. Announcement. 3. Enforcement and regulatory actions. The Ohio EPA had recently backed away from a proposed blanket wastewater discharge permit for data centers after receiving more than 7,000 public comments, and this remained a major regulatory development tied to July 24 coverage. 10. A Cleveland.com summary described the agency's retreat from the plan as a response to public pressure, while a broader July 21 government actions recap also identified the EPA permit rejection as one of the key regulatory events in the period. 10-9. In the criminal enforcement realm, a federal grand jury indicted 16 people accused of operating a drug trafficking enterprise out of a Mansfield car wash, with law enforcement seizing about 895 grams of cocaine, 127 oxycodone pills, and other drugs. 3. This is a federal action rather than a state prosecution, but it was part of the Ohio enforcement landscape, reported on July 24. 3. Local and county government actions reported that day the Delaware County Sheriff's Office released the identities of the 5 victims who drowned in the Scioto River the prior Sunday. 1. This was a local law enforcement announcement with public safety significance. 1. Cuyahoga County Council, unanimously approved more than $1.4 million in competitive grants for road improvements and senior center upgrades across 8 communities through the FY 2026 Special Competitive Municipal Community Development Block Grant Program 3. That action affected local infrastructure and community services, and it was approved by county government rather than the state legislature. 3. Ross County Treasurer David Jeffers announced an extension of the second half 2025 real property tax payment deadline from July 24, 2026 to August 21, 2026. 8. This is a county fiscal administration action and one of the few date-specific local government actions in the results. 8. Public event and public-facing government activity. The available results do not show a major statewide ceremonial event on July 24 comparable to a bill signing ceremony or executive press event beyond the governor's bill signing announcement and the transportation/housing announcements. 17. However, the governor's office announcement itself functioned as a public-facing policy event because it formalized multiple enacted laws and publicized their provisions. 7. What the record supports most clearly the strongest, best documented statewide actions for July 24, 2026 were DeWine's signing of 9 measures listed by the governor's office, ODOT's 33 Project Roadway Initiative, the Ohio Department of Development's Housing Access Push, the Reading Coach expansion, and the Ohio EPA's withdrawal from the data center discharge permit proposal after extensive public comment. 1710.3. If you want, I can turn this into a tighter, all actions by category and agency, briefing with only the July 24 items and no surrounding context.